Hey all, Sir Penguin here, and we are looking at a 1v1 on Cliffside. I'm going to give you a little background on these players because they're not quite as popular on like the mainstream streams and games, but these are some very good players here. We are looking at, in blue, on the top side, playing as the ABBASID Dynasty, there we go, msn.dk. MSN here is a top 100 ABBASID player. And I shit you not, guys, this kid went from gold to conqueror in basically a single season, just a few seasons ago, and is now top 100 ABBASID. So let's pay careful attention to him as we dive in here, because his style and his game is going to be very precise, and that's what will make this interesting for us, especially watching ABBASID here. ABBASID going up to the A tier on Beastie Cutie's top player tier list, and when very specifically, top player tier list. So let's see what happens here against one of the best top tier civs in the game, the Byzantines. Just really strong, getting that eco going and getting that Zerg sort of unit production out. We're looking at Knusch in the purple. And as for Knusch, we've seen Knusch play in like 1 or 2 S-tier tournaments, but I don't think we actually know very much about this guy. He is they have very intentionally kept their identity a bit more of a secret. I don't really know much about Knusch, but I do know Knusch is a very good player, has been very successful in top tier games, and is top 50 right now, I believe. So keep an eye out on Knusch, as this guy is going to absolutely tear up the ladder. But here we go, looking at msn.dk up against Knusch here. It's just going to be your standard sort of opening with these two civs, but Knusch already on a big sheep lead with 11 sheep on his scout. MSN just sitting on 5 over there himself. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult for MSN, though with the ABBASID, you are going to be able to rely on that berry economy. So it's and we do see on the back of MSN's base on Cliffside 2 berry patches. This is a really nice spawn for ABBASID, because you're going to get all those berries in the back. We also have safe gold and safe stone back there. This map always has those 2 like safe stones in the back, but only 1 berry bush here for Knusch, which isn't like a huge difference, but it will be easier for MSN to guard it than it is for Knusch to guard it here. That's important to keep in mind as we go forward, because in this matchup, food is going to be essential. We're going to get farms up eventually, especially, if ABBASID doesn't get map control, they're going to want to get into their really strong farm boom. And, Byzantines are going to want to get that olive oil going from their olive groves. So sort of contesting the early food to prevent that, to force an early farm transition, might be huge for either of these players here. And outside of that, I think we're really looking for a lot of units to come out for these players as we dive in here. We have Military Wing coming up for MSN. This is probably going to be, and I assume because I've talked to him and he's actually done a little bit of coaching for me, which is one of the reasons we're casting him here. He's just a great player, nice guy. But we're going to dive into his Military Wing 2TC here, which has become quite standard for ABBASID on the ladder, especially in matchups against civs like the Byzantines, where you expect a lot of, units to come out. 2TC, maybe a castle age, so you're going for that castle timing. But it's only if you're safe. So it's a lot of this matchup is going to be about the scouting, and you can see MSN now taking a look. He wants to see how much production Knusch is bringing to the table here. And we have these berries coming in, which means we are going to have probably longbows against ABBASID. We've already got archers coming out, but MSN going to lose the scout early here to Knusch's TC. Not only does Knusch have a sheep lead, but this is going to be a big problem if Knusch's scout beats. Yeah, Knusch's scout is already coming back. So MSN starting basically behind here in terms of food, but we have the stable archery range coming out since he's scouted the archery range of Knusch. So it's going to be some early aggression here, some early fighting. Although, yeah, here comes the first archer. I was about to say there's no units coming out just yet, but we already have this little squad here ready to duke it out. And the scout can't get over to the sheep. MSN saves them with his little military wing army here. But I don't know, this scout, if it goes in. We hear a scout coming out. That's what this stable is for as well. You want to replace a scout as soon as you lose it. Yeah, and here it comes. You can already see it queued up here. Oh my gosh, with the units defending this, it's not gonna go to Knusch just yet. Oh, an excellent counterplay to losing that scout actually from an MSN here. You don't see that every day. Stable coming up now, so it's gonna be archery range stable for both players. We have no mercenary camp out yet, because Knusch has been forced off of these berries. So you can see his olive oil count is actually quite low here for a Byzantine player, and that's what you want to do if you're up against the Byzantines, especially, and MSN really showing us that here. You want to pressure the hell out of these berries, because you do not want to let Byzantines get away with getting those longbows out, especially if you're ABBASID. And we're looking at this from an ABBASID standpoint. This is going to be a big-time macro match. And we don't have that 2 TC coming out. This is something to keep in mind for ABBASID players. Yes, we all want that second TC to come out. Oh, no. I'm just looking at my chat here. For those of you watching on YouTube, MSN popped into my chat and said, not the scout. He auto-attacked. Oh, you got it. Well, MSN, you told me yourself. You have to make sure to use the stand ground function when you're near the edge of your enemy's base. I'm just kidding. I'm joshing with you. That's an unfortunate loss, but I love this aggression as MSN once again putting on this pressure, and Knusch not able to go for the berries just yet. But yeah, remember, as an ABBASID player, you want to get that second TC out, but it's not always an option. The nice thing about this, though, you get your fresh foodstuffs, and all of a sudden, fresh foodstuffs is a military tech. 32 food is like nothing, as you have units coming out in order to stop this. Because you know units are going to be coming out for Byzantine. We do have olive groves now for that Byzantine player, which means the mercenary house is out and will be used, but I feel like it's going to be really slow. I guess if you get those 5 longbows out, it can be really helpful, especially against ABBASID, because this is a big mass MSN has now outside of Knusch's base. And Knusch has no choice but to fall back off of these outer resources like gold and berries. And you know what? He's not even gathering the gold because he needs to make units. There's a little bit of gold here for him to get upgrades, it looks like, but, you know, maybe some arrow resistance for all these ABBASID archers that are coming through. And he's going to pick off, Knusch's going to find the reinforcements here, pick them off with those Byzantine horsemen. And the fun thing I think about this matchup is it's going to be a lot of trash early on. Oh, and it has been pointed out to me that you do want to get that early golden age with ABBASID, because when you don't have your second TC, golden age is really important with that plus 15% resource rate. It's kind of like playing Delhi at that point, where you get basically a free resource upgrade just by building your military buildings and your houses. And we have a lot of military out here now, as, yeah, trying to poke and prod, but Knusch is doing a very good job of protecting his villagers on either side of this wood line, not quite letting MSN get in on them, and the TC gonna be firing. Knusch does get housed here, though, as MSN trying to push the berries, but this tower is going to shut down a lot of this aggression and going to give Knusch a chance to get some more of these mercenary units out by gathering the berries. He actually has enough, but hasn't opted into one of the units just yet. And now we have a little bit of a stalemate as each of these players is kind of scouting, trying to figure out the best way to approach this. Currently, MSN is sitting on map control and is going to go for the ram to take out that tower, which has gotten arrow slits and is now getting the fortify outpost in, which can take a lot of beating from these early trash units, but this ram should help, especially with this small army on the defensive side. MSN with a huge amount of units. I think 5 production buildings on the back. 4 maybe. Here comes the fight now. That ram coming up. And you end up against factions like Byzantine and you go... I did this the other day, actually. I went 2 TC early because I was like, I'll be fine. I'll use that extra eco to defend myself. But Byzantines are gonna get units out, especially in the feudal age nowadays. Like, that feudal Byzantine push is so dangerous. You have to make units as Abbasid here. And that's what we see as this fight comes through, and there's not a lot of Byzantine units here. And these villagers are gonna go down. You see at least 3, maybe 4 now. Oh, it doesn't quite pick up the 4th, but 3 villagers go down, and we got another villager on super low health. And Knusch is holding on here. Knusch is still in this game. You can see, though, that this production is non-stop. This is turning into an Abbasid all-in, sort of, here. Except, actually, yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say, we're not going to the stone yet, are we? We've got all these units coming out. No, we are going for the berries with these vills. Like I said earlier, we have these safe berries in the back. But with map control, it wouldn't have mattered if these were in the front or in the back. Although... we do see some horsemen coming out for Knusch, and these are going to be looking for raids. This is what you want to do on the defensive end. Like, Knusch here is making a very good choice in terms of trying to shut down this attack by looking for gold vills, looking for food vills. And he knows, he's scouted where all the food is. It's on the back. So these horsemen come through, and they're going to find these villagers. We don't have Hippodrome, though, so they're not going to have that Triumph damage, though. A little poke as that comes through, but yeah, MSN now forced to fall back to his base with these villagers, and he's going to lose a couple to that horseman raid. This is a really effective raid to try to slow down MSN's aggression, and you can see the production actually slows down here and stops because of that food, as well as... are we just holding back, maybe looking at a castle age? As the production has stopped here for MSN, especially due to the large sort of deficit. I mean, it's pretty clear that MSN is aware of this, like, this unit lead, because we've seen the fights, and we know what Knusch has. But yeah, mostly food coming through now. More production now catching back up as those villagers re-secure the food. And this area is zoned out by the Abbasid horsemen. That being said, a nice little wall coming out for Byzantines. Knusch trying to secure this side of the map. And the longbow archer comp with just a few spears to defend against this is going to be too much for that horseman raid to do anything else as it has to fall back to the main army. Ram coming back onto the Grand Winery, once again pushed off the berries. That being said, Knusch has quite a few olive groves, so more longbows are going to come out now. Yeah. We got these raids coming through, but there is a tower with arrow slits on the back, so that horseman not going to be able to do too much over there. As we know, like... it's funny going into this kind of a match because Abbasid and Byzantine don't really have a feudal raiding unit. And when I say that, horsemen can raid, right? You can distract your opponent, you can get some multi-pronged harassment just to distract them. But horsemen are not a good raiding unit in particular. They don't do a ton of damage to villagers. I mean, if you look at their damage, it's only 9 compared to other sort of raiding units at this stage in the game that other civs have. But in this matchup, you don't have a choice because both players are going to have to raid with horsemen. And without the Hippodrome, they're on an even footing here with the horsemen. The big thing coming in now is these camel archers are going to reduce that attack even more when this fight comes out. So you can see Knusch mostly just dedicating his army to archers because he's got to counter this big archer mass that is coming out for MSN. This raid is coming back up again. Another 2 villagers going to 3 villagers? No, 2 villagers going down and the rest going to the tower. This tower gets canceled as the Deervilles are forced over to the berries where that other tower is. This is a nice mass though. You can see the deficit in military, but it is kind of closing as Knusch has been able to hold and keep his production up, this wall has made a big difference because it's allowed him to secure his wood line a little bit easier. And if he needs more food later, he's got this deer pack and going for the berries for mercenaries deep on the back. This raid continues though as MSN sort of preps the army for attack. We've got the arrow resistance and arrow damage techs in now, and almost all of the eco techs coming through, which is what you want as ABBASID. That's going to help you a lot in this kind of matchup. You can see Byzantines doing the same, because you really need to get an edge against your opponent in this matchup, because both factions want to zerg. You want to get a lot of units out as ABBASID. You want to get a lot of units out as Byzantine. And so you see these big feudal masses ready to duke it out once again. 3 rams, though one on quite low health here, looking to push that Grand Winery again, reduce the olive oil income of the Byzantines as they're forced off the farms. And look at that villager deficit as MSN takes a little tiny bit of a lead here with that 4 villager. The raids kind of keeping this close though. And here's a great fight for MSN. That being said, there's a lot of damage coming out from this TC as well as from these longbows, and you can see the longbows getting focused on this left side as this fight goes through. And those archer upgrades for both civs here really coming in handy, super important for this fight. But there's too many archers from our ABBASID player coming in here, pushing all of this, and there's all these rams. There's still this food on the back, but now Knusch has to just hope that MSN doesn't notice. Yeah, like you're at that stage of the game where you've been pushed so hard that you've got villagers that you're just praying don't get caught out. Anyway, meanwhile, this push is going quite well. We've got olive groves going down. The Grand Winery is down. That leaves 1 landmark here for Knusch and not a lot of archers left. The eco kind of looking okay, but floating now as there really isn't a lot to spend all of these resources on, especially the gold. Byzantine's not going to have a whole lot to spend the gold on except for an age up, but you cannot age up here. Not until you get some more units out. More longbows should be on the way for that olive oil, but Knusch a little bit distracted here because this mass has done a lot of damage. A lot of houses going down as well. Knusch looking to cut off reinforcements once again with his horsemen. And you can see like the feudal aggro of these civs actually a lot stronger than people give them credit for, I think, in a lot of ways too, especially in a matchup between the two. Meanwhile, Raid's trying to come in on the other side, but Knusch shuts that down while trying to cut off reinforcements. Triple ram, but not... The archer's a little too far away, and the villagers are going to be able to scare that back. One of these rams probably going down. Yeah, that ram goes down to the villagers. That one has been here for a while, though, just only going down as it had 30 health. Little miscue on that horseman raid there, it looks like. Trying to get the vills off of the Grand Winery and the olive groves, but he goes down. Those raids get shut down once again by Knusch. Knusch playing a very solid defense here, but it's starting to look like it's not going to be enough. This archer ball is so much here, and this is not looking good because this army loses to this many archers no matter what you have. Like, you can make as many horsemen as you want, but you'll just get two-shot by these ABBASID archers as they just tear apart those horsemen. And then what's left? Just a small little archer line with the same upgrades. So now this push, yeah, this is looking bad for Knusch here, as Knusch has failed to basically like compensate for the fact that ABBASID Golden Age can just really outproduce you in the Feudal Age. Like, 1 TC ABBASID here, knowing that Byzantines are gonna want to put a lot of pressure on with these archers, is going to be the play. So those of you who are struggling with ABBASID too, oh, and another good point, by the way, from MSN himself, we have boot camp because of the military wing. So the archers are actually going to be stronger than any Byzantine archers because of their extra HP. And now that is the end of the game. GG. Knusch not able to hold, and we really can see how powerful ABBASID can be in the Feudal Age with that push, especially against one of the stronger Zerg civs in the game right now. Thanks all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about ABBASID, Delhi, some of those like I want to say less played civs. I'm here. I like to talk about them, and we got some players who are very good at them talking about them in my chat. So if you're ever around, join us. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and we have more videos on the way. Thank you.